little bit about what's going on tomorrow here at the Hulu Theater. USA Wrestling and Beat the Streets, two of the more important organizations in American wrestling, have combined with two of their best events, Final X and the Beat the Streets benefit. And we're going to be competing here at the Hulu Theater in the most famous arena in the world, Madison Square Garden. So should be a great day of wrestling. When we're done, we'll have determined 14 spots on the 2022 U.S. Senior World Team, which will be competing in Serbia in September. And while we're raising a ton of money for youth wrestling and youth development programs here in New York City. Today at these press conferences, we're going to have 28 athletes from 14 weight classes. The wrestling the best of 3 series tomorrow. And we made a decision this year, instead of trying to put 30 people or 28 people on one stage, and split it up in different groups. And that's what we're doing. It's going really well on our first 2 press conferences, and look forward to introducing you to the great athletes on our stage right here. A bit about our format. I'll introduce each weight class and then ask 1 or 2 questions of each of the wrestlers. And we'll work through the athletes that are on stage. And then we'll open it up and ask journalists to make questions. There'll be a microphone that'll be passed around. Please identify yourself and your media outlet and ask who you're speaking with. So, before we get started with the actual press conference, oh, by the way, when we're done with that, we'll go on one-on-one interviews where the journalists will come up and they'll either interview the athletes up here at the table or ask you to go to a different part of the room for individual interviews. We won't go any more than 45 minutes. So, again, appreciate the athletes for being here and look forward to hearing what they have to say. Is Brendan here? There you are. I'd like to introduce Brendan Buckley, who's the Executive Director of Beat the Streets here in New York, to talk about their gala event and the athletes and the youth that they serve here in New York City. Thanks, Brendan.
Thanks, Gary. Welcome everybody to New York City and Final X. This is our first time that Beat the Streets has had the opportunity to host Final X or a World Team Trial. So this is our largest event of the year, and this is actually the first one in over 3 years. So this is certainly a big deal for us. And looking at all the people on this stage, it makes sense. We're honored, grateful, and just really excited to be back running an event again to market and promote the good work that Beat the Streets does, where we work with 2,500 male and female student athletes that are as young as kindergarten all the way through college. We have a variety of different programs, and so all of them are invited, all of our kids, our coaches, parents, alumni. We make sure that they get there. We had several hundred last year. They're all going to be done in their Beat the Streets t-shirts. So they look up to all of you, and it really means a lot. You guys have always been involved and been the first to raise your hand when we want to do an event, and that means a lot to us. So a few people to thank. Our staff has been hustling, working really hard, our volunteers, obviously our partners, USA Wrestling, to make this event happen, and all of our sponsors, and then certainly MSG and Hulu Theater. So just if there's anything we can do to help make this a better event, you have questions, details. We've talked to a few people about our after party we always do. We'd love to have all the athletes and coaches. This is our first time in 3 years, so I can tell you there's just a lot of enthusiasm and excitement, and we're just stoked to have all of you here. So best wishes to everybody. Hope it's a terrific event, and do let us know if we can do anything to help you.
Without further ado, we'll talk talk to the athletes, starting in the order that they'll be wrestling. And the first weight class, which we will talk to, is our 50-kilogram women's freestyle weight, Sarah Hildebrandt against Alyssa Lampy. So Sarah, coming off a really good 2021, won an Olympic medal and then made the finals again in the World Championships. Coming into this year, how's your season gone? What kind of things are you working on to take those medals and turn them into gold?
Yeah, that's a good question because I really feel like I wanted to approach this season differently than I have in the past, which has been kind of a difficult thing just because I feel like I had been finding success doing what I was doing, but clearly not the success I was actually after. So there have been things I've been approaching differently, and just it's really been a deep dive into where I'm at mentally and what wrestling is adding to myself as Sarah, you know, instead of wrestling being entirely me and Sarah. And I think I really had to make that distinction between, wrestling as a tool is a wonderful thing that is just adding to who I am, and how that has been able to set my training and change my mindset and just how I feel about the sport and what I'm actually trying to do within the sport. I think it's really freed me and opened me up to just enjoying it again. And I really, really am committed to prioritizing that mindset, this year and the rest of the quad as well.
Thanks, Sarah, appreciate that. Alyssa, won 2 world bronze medals, one of the top wrestlers in the world, retired for a while, right? You come back a couple years ago, and now you're going to have an opportunity tomorrow to make another world team and make another run at a world medal. I'm curious how you feel you're wrestling right now in comparison to those years when you were winning those medals, and also what's kind of new and different for you in your life is this portion of your wrestling career.
Am I talking? That's
Yeah.
oh, okay. I think what's changed is I've worked on my style a little bit to change that, and then I think more. So it was more of a job, and now it's more fun for me. I found my passion again with wrestling, and just being more confident in who I am as a human being. So that's kind of changed a little bit.
And talk a little bit about where you're training and the people that are part of your training right now, because you made a move from one coast to the other, and then now you have an opportunity to be with different athletes than where you were training prior. What's that like for you?
So I have been very fortunate. I was training in Vermont with Aaron Faggio, and that was a really good training environment. And I really liked training with the D3 program and having that family aspect. So I knew when I had to change locations, that's what I wanted. That's what I needed, actually. So when I went to the Beaver Dam, I already knew Nate Engel and had gone to school with him. And then just being surrounded by that family aspect is huge for me, because I know no matter what, we have each other's backs, and they love me regardless of wrestling. And they're gonna be family no matter what. Like, wrestling doesn't, if I stop wrestling tomorrow, didn't even compete in this Final X, they would still love me and support me. So, and that means a lot to me. So.
Does it help you in your performance as well to be in that setting?
Absolutely, that takes a lot of pressure off of me that I put on myself, not them.
Thanks a lot, Alyssa. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Our next weight class is 74 kilograms in men's freestyle. Kyle Dake against Jason Nolf. Kyle, you won 3 world titles, been to the Olympics, won a medal. Every season, obviously, is a new challenge for you. How do you change your game in a way to make it better and also keep you sharp and fresh for the challenge for the new year, which we're now about to determine who gets to wrestle at the Worlds?
A lot of the changes that I make are pretty much just based on my creativity and trying to understand how my body works, understand what I can do better, and understand how I can be more efficient and more effective out there on the mat. So most of the time, whether that be walking down the street or in the wrestling room, I'm working on tiny little things that eventually will pay some dividends. And it's not like I've been it's going to be right away, but I've been doing it for the past few years, and I can start to see them picking up daily now, which is pretty cool.
You know, and as a world champion, the world pays attention and studies you and thinks they might have a way to figure you out. And what kind of things do you do in the room or just in your preparation for wrestling to make sure that they don't know what you're going to do for them?
I don't really know. Try to make sure they don't come into my practice room and watch me, I guess.
Maybe, I don't know.
No. Again, just trying to be as creative as possible, and not getting crazy with it, by trying to do things that are high risk and low reward, but really just focusing on the details and try to be innovative there.
Thanks a lot, Kyle. Appreciate it. Jason, you're in your first Final X. Obviously, fantastic college career. You made national teams in freestyle. Talk a little bit about the training environment with Nittany Lion and how you've made steps forward in your freestyle to put you in a position where you have an opportunity this year to go to Senior World Championships, represent your country.
Yeah, I think most of my life I never wrestled freestyle. You know, I never thought that I was going to wrestle freestyle after college until about 2016. So the last couple of years have been, spending time catching up and learning how to wrestle freestyle better. So I've been making a lot of good adjustments, and I think that I'm getting a lot better.
And were there things that in your recent competitions you started feeling like, man, I'm going to be a great freestyler now rather than in the future? Were there things this year that you were able to feel or see that made the progress from when you started into that real deep dive into the style?
I always kind of think in the now rather than in the future, but I've just seen a lot of growth, and I believe in my coaches and I believe in myself, so to get better every day and always do the best that I can with what I'm given.
Thanks a lot, Jason. Appreciate it. Our next weight class, 57 kilograms in women's freestyle. Helen Maroulis against Alexandra Hedrick. Helen, pretty much have won it all in wrestling, right? The first woman to win an Olympic gold medal in wrestling for our country, the first to win 2 medals at the Olympics for us, multiple world titles. Could you talk a little bit about what it is about wrestling that keeps you motivated and coming back for more every year? And I'm sure it's not another medal. I'm sure it has to do with your love of the sport or the things that you learn. Or talk a little bit about why Helen Maroulis is still here and still striving to be the best there is.
Yeah, so I'm still in wrestling, honestly, because I love it just as much as I did when I was a kid, if not more. And I've been blessed to accomplish a lot of really great things in the sport. There are a couple things that I would still like to do. And I think it more just comes out of a curiosity of I just want to know what that experience is like. Like I've always wanted to know what it's like to win a gold medal. And then I got to experience that. And I've also experienced what it's like to lose or to not reach my goals. And I've never been, I think one of my goals that I still have is to just be a part of a team where we win as a team. And I know that I believe we have the team to do that. And I know all the girls are really motivated to do that. So honestly, I'm around great people. I have great teammates. We have a great program. And so it's just fun. It's enjoyable. Like I like being here. I like doing this. I like seeing everybody. So I think that just motivates me as well.
Does occasionally when you run into a little girl or a first-time wrestler in women's wrestling come up to you and talk to you, does that kind of remind you about the position you've taken in the sport and how you can help others?
Sorry,
No, that's fine. I mean, as someone who's been successful, there are often young people that want to talk to you and listen and learn from you and look up to you. And what do you think about that when that occurs and you're in an event and a little girl wants to chat with you about wrestling?
I think the really cool thing for me in this role and in this experience in the sport of wrestling and women's wrestling is
when young girls come up to me, I think just seeing them and seeing their passion and their fire and their excitement and just that like innocence and just wanting to take on this big dream, that reminds me of my younger self. And it's like, of course you want to feel that, of course you want to encourage these girls. And so whether their dream is to make it to the Olympics or they're just so excited that women's wrestling now is just even an option for them to go do, even as a club sport, you know, it's cool to know that many women have paved the way before me and that I've now also been a part of that trail. And so, you know, we're hoping to continue to grow the sport and continue to have more opportunities for young girls.
Thank you, Helen. I appreciate it. Alex, 2018, you were in a spot to make a senior world team, right? And had to wrestle Helen. Since then, when we had COVID, college didn't have a season. There's been a lot of changes in your life. Could you talk a little bit about what's different now for you in your wrestling, but also in what's going on in your life that might help you as you go into this opportunity to make a world team today?
Yeah, so I feel like since 2018, a lot has changed and a lot of things has happened to me. In November of 2020, I actually had heart surgery, which was like a huge life-changing event. But I was very blessed to find people that were able to help me, and I was able to get back on the mat very quickly. And then just finishing up my college career this year, and then moving to the Olympic Training Center has been a great, I think, change for me as far as getting me just a change. Like, I think I was getting a little bit like complacent at SFU, and so I think moving somewhere where I had a little bit of a different routine, new training partners, new coaches, was just a needed change.
And going into the series, do you feel confident that you've been able to develop some of the things that would make it possible to not only make it to the team, but also go and win a medal? Or are there parts of your game that you're really proud of?
Yeah, I feel very confident in my development as a wrestler. I feel like I'm doing everything I can to improve mentally, physically, you know, and so I feel very confident in my training, my coaches, and everything that I'm doing.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Alex. Our next weight class, 79 kilograms in men's freestyle, Jordan Burroughs and Chance Marsteller. Jordan, could we rewind early in your career? And you were talking about these goals of maybe winning more gold than any other American wrestler. And we're going into Final X, and you've had 6 and have a possibility this year to move to the first spot, right? How much different is it for you right now than when you perceived the goals of maybe winning a bunch of gold medals for the United States? How's your life different than what you thought it would be?
Well, I tell you what, Gary, I'm glad that Adeline Gray is pregnant. She's not going to be wrestling at the World Championships this year, because I believe she'll probably be first to do it. You know, she's been on my heels for a long period of time, and you know, we've kind of edged out each other throughout the last decade or so. One of the things that you realize when you first start this journey is that you are naive to the difficulties that eventually you'll face. I rattled off 69 straight victories, 3 straight world championships. I never realized that there was going to be a lull period in there where there was going to be a few years where I didn't win a world championship, where I didn't make a team. So I think in that period of time, you start to readjust your goals, you start to readjust your values and your perspective, you start to gain a little bit more of a realization, like this is a really difficult journey. And every world championship doesn't guarantee another gold medal. And no one really counts the silvers and the bronzes. So the gold is always the most important goal. But I think that at this point in my career, I'm really enjoying what I do. And I have a new zeal to go into the wrestling room and perform. And I've got a great team, great family, and all those things are motivating for me.
And we're out east with this event. I mean, you've spent many years in Midwest in Lincoln, and have moved back to the area that you grew up with, and you probably will have a bunch of people coming up from Philly, right?
Yeah.
To watch you. It's a little bit special. I know you wrestled in Final X in Lincoln. You're wrestling here in New York, which is right there next to Jersey. Is it going to feel a little like another home match? Or?
A little bit. I think this is my 11th Beat the Streets event, and I always fly here because I've always been in Lincoln. I took the train here. So that's a new perspective. My family's here. Because of COVID, a lot of my family and friends haven't seen me compete since 2019. And the last time I was here was in 2019 when I wrestled Ben Askren. And I found a lot of success that day. So I'm hoping to replicate what I was able to do then. It's just been a lot of fun. I enjoy being back on the East Coast. I've got 4 little ones. My parents are close by. They're about 10 miles away in Cherry Hill. They're picking the kids up, taking them to school, taking them to wrestling and gymnastics practice. It's been a huge help. Brandon Slade's been a phenomenal leader. And so at this point in my career, I'm starting to kind of settle into this new role as player coach, mentor / athlete. And it's been a tremendous responsibility, but it's also been a lot of fun.
Thanks a lot, Jordan. Appreciate it. Chance, you've had to overcome a lot of challenges to get to where you are today, and I just wanted to ask you a little bit about, how your journey to Final X and your journey through wrestling has made you not only a better wrestler, but maybe a better man.
Yeah, I mean, my journey's definitely been long to get here. One thing I want to make clear is that most of it was definitely self-inflicted. So once I got out of my own way, good things were able to start happening. I think part of the process is once I realized, Jordan hit along that this journey's no joke, and once you're able to start smiling during the tough times, things start to change.
And you had some smiles in the preparation and competition to get here, right? I mean, it was pretty emotional for you during the qualifying stages to this. You're looking forward to the challenge you have tomorrow. You got the 6 gold medal athlete that's been the leader of our country, and you have an opportunity to go out there and challenge yourself and show the world what Chance can do, right? Talk a little bit about what you have tomorrow to do.
Absolutely. Everyone knows Jordan and what he's done, but at the same time, the amount of work he's put in and the work I put in, I don't think are much different as far as the work. I don't think it's about beating him tomorrow. It's about still, I didn't set a goal to necessarily beat Jordan. I set a goal to win the world title. And along that's going to come a challenge like this that I'll have to overcome. I'm very excited about it. I very well think that tomorrow night is the world finals. The best 2 teams in the world wrestling.
We're really looking forward to it too. Congratulations on this achievement of getting here, and best of luck tomorrow in your goals.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Our final weight class, 86 kilograms. David Taylor against Zahid Valencia. We'll start with David. David, after winning the Olympics in Tokyo, what's changed about your life, or did it change at all? And how did that experience of reaching that childhood dream of yours help you moving forward as you go on towards the next Olympic Games?
I set that goal at a really young age, to be Olympic champion, and it was like just any journey. It's a long journey with your ups and downs. So, I think the only goal I set out for myself from a young age I did accomplish was being a 4-time national champion in college. I was pretty close. I won a world championship and then won the Olympics. But every step along the way, I felt like every goal that I achieved, I always felt like emptiness, like there was more to achieve. And then after winning the Olympic gold medal, it was fulfillment. And I think that was awesome. Just so many people that have helped me get there, my friends, my family, my coaches, and it's a team effort. It's hard to even, I think in that moment, you start reflecting back to all those people that have helped you along the way, and you wouldn't be there without them. Then you take some time off and you feel like, all right, well, what is next? And you realize like, man, I really love wrestling, and let's do that again in Paris. It's definitely an addicting feeling, to have your hand raised. To be hungry for more. So it's it's a unique time in wrestling. We can support our families. It's you come at this, it's a lifestyle. You treat it like a job. There's a lot of opportunities that continue to present themselves, and being a role model to the next group of kids, that you set your mind to something, you can go out and achieve it.
Thanks, David. Appreciate that. Zahid, I mean, you've been to Final X before, and you're back, right? Talk a little bit about your journey since the last time you were in the finals of the Final X, and how things have been going for you this year and this quest to make this team.
Yeah, for sure. I think I've grown a lot since wrestling Kai over there a few years back. You know, I've matured a lot. I think I really honed into my technique and just really developed a new style of wrestling. You know, so this year I've had a few good tournaments. You know, going out to Russia, wrestling at the Oregon, you know, Pan Ams, and then going through the World Trials. So I think I'm prepared. You know, I've been feeling good. You know, using strategy with my coaches. You know, talking about every little thing that I could work on. So I'm just pumped. I'm excited to be here.
And who are the people that you work out with the most? People that have helped get you ready for this challenge. Obviously, you're in a training situation which has a ton of good people and great coaches. But are there anyone you'd like to note that have really made a difference in your season and for preparation here?
Yeah, for sure. It's not just the people I roll around with. You know, it's everyone. Everyone brings something. You know, even the women's wrestling. You know, having Forrest Molinari there. You know, Dom, Kayla, Helen, all those people. That atmosphere. You know, training with my brother Anthony and Josh Shields. Having Coach Mark Perry there. Having Zeke. You know, just all the way up to Kim and Art Martor. You know, everybody makes a difference, and everyone helps and supports me in a different way. So I'm just excited to put on a show for them, for myself, and everyone really.
Well, I appreciate it, Zahid. Thank you, man. So I'm looking for a volunteer to help hand around the microphone. Coach, thank you. You know I was going to ask you. You know that, right?
Do this. Absolutely.
Anyone have some questions? Coach will bring you the microphone and tell us who you are and who you represent and ask the question to a specific athlete. You guys hand around the microphone so if you get a question. Good, thank you.
Hey, Christian Piles, Flow Wrestling. Question for Jordan Burroughs. I have a tweet from June of 2016. I want to read. Lars Stellar is an amazing wrestler, but if he wants to win at this level, he's got to improve his conditioning. You sent that tweet, Jordan. My question is, at this point in time, do you think he's improved his conditioning enough to compete against you?
He has. I think that from what I've seen from Chance over the last few months, we were in the same tournament together, the SR Dogu, and in late February, I watched him beat a world champion in Sabalov. I watched him beat Butsapov on the opposite side of the bracket and make it to the final in a pretty deep field. I watched him have a solid performance at the US Open. Didn't really wrestle to the best of his ability, but then I also watched him wrestle at the World Team Trials, hold off Carter Sirachi late in the match when he was coming after him like a madman. I watched him, you know, stave off Dave McFadden and then Vincenzo Joseph twice. I think he's in a really good place. And all those guys have different elements of their wrestling that make them difficult to compete against. Chance is a formidable opponent. He's a great wrestler. He's got great conditioning. He's got a very poised mind, and he's wrestling for something bigger than himself. And you can tell by his performances over this past year. But I'm always gonna be ready. And I'm on me. I'm always gonna do my thing, so I'll be ready.
Thanks. Next question.
Question for Helen and Sarah. You guys have actually wrestled each other in competition. It's been a while, but what's it been like to be on this journey together?
I'll actually answer.
No comment, no. Yeah, it's crazy. Me, Helen, Jakara, we're all in the same bracket. Kayla as well. We're all in the same bracket in 2015 World Team Trials. I wrestled all three of them actually. So we've all, you know, divided and conquered since. But it's been really cool because growing up, I just knew Helen as, you know, she was who I wrestled in the finals every year. And she would just absolutely destroy me. So from going from that then to her, you know, I remember when she won the Olympics and I was like an emotional wreck and I had lost to her for that spot, you know what I mean? And then now to being like, you know, a mentor and teammate and really good friend. It's been so cool going through that whole that whole progression with her. I think it's made us really close. And I just feel really lucky to have had not only the chance to look up to somebody like that, but she's literally pushed me to become better through being an opponent and now as being a teammate. So it's a really cool experience.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. This women's team honestly has just been such a big motivating factor for me to stay around, and each of the women to follow their journey over the last couple of years and see everyone just really come into their own weight class. It's been super inspiring. I mean, obviously we're following each other's journey, so to see Sarah go through some of those injuries and setbacks and then literally just change her whole life and her whole career, and I saw that mindset switch, and I just remember telling my coach, like, she can do it, she's gonna win the Olympics, like, and I know it because I've done it before and I can see it. And then, you know, just even the other women that I've competed against, Jakara and Kayla, it's just been really nice to grow and help push each other. And I don't know, our women's team has a really great bond, and I think that's why we are really getting prepared to take on a team title as well, because we've all just really pushed each other these last couple of years.
Another question out there?
Question for David. Saw you coaching at the U17 World Team Trials, and just wondering what you've gained and what you've learned from being a coach and how that might affect your competition.
Well, I think, you know, it means a little bit more when you're in there coaching your kids, because, you know, you're telling them to do something or that you think is the best way. You don't want to be a hypocrite. You don't want to tell them to do something and then you're not doing the exact same thing, you know. So I think what's unique, you know, is still being so, you know, and Chance probably can relate to it. You know, it's just you're competing at this level. What you're learning, you're going back and you're helping those kids immediately. You know, so you're trying to help them with that learning curve, show them like what you feel like is the best way. And I mean, U17s, U20s, U23s, I mean, to make those teams along the way are really difficult. These kids are battling and going through that World Team Trials experience. You know, to go to a World Championship and win is so valuable. So, you know, going through the ups and downs with the kids is pretty special. I mean, they put so much time into it at the club level. I mean, what we do is a time commitment. What they do is a time commitment, but also a huge family time commitment. You know, see that kind of pay off for the families that are putting all that time into their kids and being there and helping them, you know, help be along that journey to help them achieve their goals. And, you know, back-to-back years, we have kids that made the U17 team. They're going to go, you know, Coach Mark's going to go to Rome this year with Tyler Kasak. So last year, you know, Coach Eric, who's now Arizona State, but he went with Levi Haynes, you know. So just to be able to have those experiences that they're gathering is so valuable, and it's a big deal for our club as well, you know, to see that these kids that are coming, putting time in, you know, it's paying dividend and helping them make those teams, you know, it's pretty special.
Another question?
Question for David, Jordan, and Kyle. This is pretty incredible that you guys are at the same weight, and here you are qualifying for Final X again. What's it been like to compete against each other, and how has that built you into this moment right now?
Go first. For, you know, obviously David and I competed in college. We watched Jordan accomplish something that we had both dreamed of, and, you know, we happened to fall in that same weight class. So we were, you know, chomping at the bit to get there, competing, doing everything that we could to reach that pinnacle. And it took some time and a lot of effort to get there, but, you know, had he not been there, would we be at the same pinnacle that we're at? It's hard to say. You know, he's just kind of set that standard of, you know, if you're coming out of America and you're in these weight classes, you got to go win. So, you know, you push yourself every day to go be better, and that's what you got to do. You got to go win.
Yeah, I think it's pretty wild to think back, you know, those weight classes, you know, and throw in Andrew Howe as well, you know, that we were all going through each other. And I just think that adversity, you know, that expectation of success, I think has really molded all of us. You know, I think, you know, without that adversity, I don't know if I would be where I am now. You know, I just feel like I was the wrong weight class. You know, I think that I was trying to cut down so much weight for so long, and I felt like it was the right place. I was also very competitive. I hated losing, and ultimately felt like the best place for my body was 86 kilos, and was able to really kind of achieve my potential. But I think going through that and struggling after having a lot of success in my career, it helped me really find a new hunger. You know, so I really got to thank these guys. You know, so I don't think I'd be where I am without them.
Yeah, I think the blessing is that we're on the right side of history. Throughout this journey, like, in the 90s, there were 10 weight classes. And then when I first burst into the freestyle scene, there were 7. Now there's only 6 at the Olympic weights. But I think fortunately for us, we were able to get back to a place where we could advocate for more weights because we all knew that these 2 guys were world champion caliber athletes for a long time. Unfortunately, they weren't able to prove that earlier in their career, but I think through that refinement process, they started to just get better, to grow, and they also helped to elevate me at the same time. So, you know, I think that kind of osmosis defining progression was a really cool opportunity for all of us, because I can clearly say that when these 2 guys were in my weight class, there was a different level of training that I knew that I had to bring to the table, because I was very afraid of the competition, because I knew that they had things that were very difficult to defend. He had pace and scrambling ability, he had defense, and it really made it difficult for me to be the same athlete. I had to always try to elevate, evolve, and sharpen up my tool shed. So yeah, very good stuff. It's good to be teammates. It's nice we can sit at the same table. We can eat at the same lunch table. Life is good. We can all go out and win a world championship. I think now our focus is becoming team champions. I think that's the one thing that we haven't been able to do together is to win a team title. And so, you know, Zeke Jones, before he left the USA Wrestling head coaching position, he told me the best wrestlers in the world are able to elevate their teammates. And they're able to go out there and win a team championship. And so he's like, you want to solidify yourself as the best wrestler in US history, you've got to help your team win a championship. But we did it in 17, I want to do it again. I want to do it again. We've got 2 hammers that we've added to our squad, and we've been unable to do it. And so I think that we've got a great team this year. The first half's already been assembled. I think we're going to assemble a great team this year. And plus Russia's not coming. So that's going to make it even easier for us. So we got some work to do, but I'm excited for the opportunity ahead of us.
I think at this point, we're going to break out into one-on-ones so that